We'll make it worth your while.
Yeah, at least we'll have fun. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's episode of Paranormal Encyclopedia. I am your host, Kevin Mears, demonologist, paranormal investigator, and the Paranormal Encyclopedia. My co-hosts are not with us currently, unfortunately. Brian is getting some stuff done with his car. He may be with us later. And Chris is still out because of work issues. I do have a guest tonight, but before we get to the guest, sorry, Alex, I'm going to have to keep you in suspense for a moment because I need to talk about our first sponsor and I need to talk about an event a friend of mine is doing. So our first sponsor for tonight is going to be, of course, Audible. Most of our listeners are probably used to me talking about this because I do it every week. Audible is a great source for audiobooks. You can get tens of thousands of books. It's $15 a month for a book. If you sign up with our link, audibletrial.com/paranormally, audibletrial.com/paranormally, link in the description, you get a free audiobook. If you decide to cancel, it's yours to keep. Any books you buy, yours to keep. They have tens of thousands of books, fiction, nonfiction, self-help, reference. Many of our past guests, John French is on there. Brian McKinley, the usual co-host, is on there. Carrie Vaughn with all of the books of the Kitty Norville novels are on there. Dacre Stoker's books are on there, and many, many more. I definitely recommend checking it out. Go to, again, audibletrial.com/paranormally. You won't regret it. The other thing I promised a friend of mine, Scott Morley, that I would mention is that on Sunday, that's April 14th, there's going to be a benefit magic show for Karen Bourne-Cafaro. Karen, I don't know Karen personally, but apparently she is, let me see, one of the owners of Gateway to the Arts, which is a performing arts school in Denville, New Jersey, formerly in Boonton. Scott's wife teaches classes there. His daughter studies there. Karen teaches voice lessons and gives so much more. The school and her business partner have created a place where children can learn to just be better performers, but better people. So unfortunately, Karen was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. All the money from the magic show will be going to benefit Karen. I know Scott. He's an extremely talented magician. He's the owner of Morley's Magic Shop, which is a great magic shop in North Jersey. I personally have lost a lot of good people to cancer. So, folks, if you're in the New Jersey area and you can help out, I highly recommend going and checking out the show. Again, that's Sunday, April 14th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Gateway to the Arts, which is in Denville, New Jersey. You can find all of it by looking up Benefit Magic Show for Karen Bourne-Cafaro on Facebook. I'll put links on both the YouTube channel and on the Facebook page to that as well. But without further ado, let me introduce an old friend of mine and our guest for this evening, Alex Strang. Alex, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. Hello, Earthlings.
So,
Oh, did you say Brian's having problems with his car?
Yes.
Okay. Then the part of Brian's car will be played by me today. Hi, I'm Brian's car.
So, Alex, I've known you for years. I can certainly introduce you, but I always feel guests introduce themselves better than I can. So why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
You think? Oh, no. You haven't met me in my introductions yet.
True.
Hi, I'm Alex Strang. I live in Philadelphia, for better or for worse, and I was born in Glasgow, Scotland. And for some reason, my parents decided it made sense to move to Philadelphia. I never quite figured that out. But I'm here, and I pretty much am a game designer by trade, and I design large games specifically for large groups, like party games, social games. I also do card games and board games, some digital. And my focus is also doing large events that are what I call gamified.
So what do you...
what else do you want to know?
I was going to say, why don't you start by explaining what you mean by gamified?
Oh, okay. Gamified is a not very well often used version of gamification, and it simply means that you're taking a process, I'm going to be very broad here, a process, and integrating a layer or either above or below or within, ideally, that has more interactive elements than it had before. Gamification is taking any kind of process. It doesn't have to be a game per se, taking any kind of process and breathing life into it so the participants of that process at hopefully every level are playing it as if they were playing a game, getting the same kind of rewards, perhaps the same kind of risks, the same kind of interactive dynamics you would get in a game.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of processes that can be applied to are, in my opinion, infinite. Anything from a school's curriculum to the way a city plans its promotions, the way any organization is developing a system that's going to involve people interacting with it. Gamification may sound like a trendy term, and it's often misused like so many terms.
Indeed.
It doesn't mean making everybody play a giant game, per se, as in, hey, let's bring Clue to our next board meeting. No. Maybe you can find a way to make your board meeting feel like a Clue game. That would be gamification.
That could be fun.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Who forgot to bring the agenda, right? Colonel Mustard. But, so I've actually done a lot of work as a gamification consultant, where I'll come in and try to find a way to... Sometimes it is a game, actually, or almost a game, and they want it to be more like a game. And sometimes it's not a game at all, technically, but it does involve people interacting, so I find a way of kind of making that experience more immersive. Another good buzzword.
We're all about the buzzwords tonight, apparently.
I'm going down the list.
It's a gamification, immersive. I'm trying to think of the next obvious one. I'm sure you'll think of it and bring it up.
I go on for every letter of the alphabet. Don't worry.
Yeah, of course.
One little thing, the way it's very simple, but what I would explain or illustrate the implications. Gamified events are active, or the participants are active versus passive. Like a simple, very simple example, say you can go and watch a movie, which is passive, or you can make a movie, which would be active.
Yeah.
And then lots of gray areas in between. Maybe you're watching a movie, but you're making decisions to influence the plot. That would be a gamified experience.
Could you argue that, say, Rocky Horror is an early example of this as well, for that matter?
I would say that's a very interesting question. Yeah, I could say that. I mean, you're participating. You are really responding to the stimuli more than you're interacting. It's not really a back and forth process.
True.
But I can see that as a early stage of it. Yes. If somehow the audience was really involved with the movie in some way, impacting it, that would truly be gamified. But it's close. Some typical, often quoted early examples of gamification that people would know about would be frequent flyer miles. It's a really, really simple version of that, where a process that you're already doing anyway, which is flying from location to location, something that you're just doing anyway, is now gamified in that there's a layer of a game added to your experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty minimal, but it's a good early example. Any rewards programs, things like that.
Yeah, I can see that. Just trying to...
So you have a little extra reason to be involved. In fact, you may have saved up enough points or frequent flyer miles to then specifically take a trip somewhere you may not have thought to take before. You're actually now playing a game at that point.
For that matter, a lot of the interactive types of theater, like the murder dinners.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Or, I forget the name of it, that one wedding thing.
I know what you're talking about. I would say it's Tina and Tony's wedding,
yeah, that's
maybe,
the one I'm thinking of. I just remember getting brought along to it by my mother and my aunt and sister, and I was like, wait, this is fun. Just the idea of, it's like a play, but you're actively participating.
Right.
The way
these are all, yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry.
These are all what I call very lightly gamified experiences. There isn't a whole lot going on there dynamically, but it can get much more dynamic and more involved. You can be involved in an experience where there's a lot of play, so to speak, going back and forth with you and all the other participants and the people that are running the system. And sometimes it's invisible. Sometimes you don't even realize that's the kind of process you're in. A lot of it, I mean, a lot of it is very related to actual game theory and game design mechanics from traditional games. But really, I try to demystify the term as best as I can. I don't know how successful I am, but it really just simply means making a process much more interactive and, in my world, more immersive.
And I'd say it sounds like more fun.
Yeah, it's generally fun. And fun is actually seriously fun is actually a prime ingredient because, at the risk of sounding trite, making a process fun is a big part of gamification.
And it's a good thing. I mean, when you think of education or social, almost anything, the more you engage those parts of the brain, the more information's retained, the more invested somebody is. It's just going to be a better experience.
Yes, investment is a key factor because the more someone's putting into the experience, the more they're going to remember it. And fun, along with that, fun is very important because a positive experience.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, positive and negative experiences that involve emotion are more memorable to the brain and are retained longer. But positive, let's concentrate on the positive for a second. Positive experiences, that are fun, so to speak, you will retain. You will retain, and you probably want to repeat.
Yep.
So creating positive, immersive experiences are now, for those in the know, and that's a lot of people, thank God, are a great way to, for employee retention, for example, for membership retention, for any kind of organization, just to keep people interested in what you're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, that basic idea has been around a while, certainly. You see, management
Calling
training
talk
that's, calling talk shows, management training that's paintball,
Sure.
doing something more than the obvious stand around in the boardroom and talk at people.
Yeah.
Well, the obvious thing as well, because, hopefully our listeners are finding this interesting as I am, but they may be wondering, what does any of this have to do with the paranormal? So that's
great question.
Theoretically the topic of the show, so I thought this is also probably an obvious point to talk about. One, you've done a past life type of thing, and two, what you've got coming up, since I'll be there.
Yeah, we did a reincarnation-themed party, and I called it the Reincarnival. It was Philadelphia's first Reincarnival, to my knowledge, and the theme is reincarnation. It's centered around a game, a large tabletop game I designed simply called Reincarnation. It's a kind of a competitive, kind of whimsical game where you evolve through higher levels of animal stages, and you're balancing your yin and your yang. It's cutesy, undeniably, and based on that, I expanded the idea into an entire reincarnation theme event. So we had a past life costume contest, so people would come dressed as their favorite past life. We had past life tarot readings. We had a number of reincarnation-themed games in addition to mine. And, of course, we had some very interesting music, very interesting experimental music playing. It was a very chill kind of experience, and I like every event I do, I really like to make it as immersive as I can possibly get away with. So I want people to come into the area and feel like they're in another world.
And our co-host has finally arrived.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, the Reincarnival. I hope to do that one again.
I must have misunderstood. I thought you had done it twice.
The Reincarnival, I played the Reincarnation game itself in different venues, but the Reincarnival itself was just one time. So I'm hoping to do it like every year.
Fantastic. So Alex, let me introduce you to Brian McKinley, my co-host.
Hello.
Oh, okay. Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Wait, Brian, are you the one with the car? Oh.
Technically, you and Beth both were late because of car things.
Yeah, we both had car things.
I'm a good therapist on that. I can talk you through it if you want.
No, I just needed to pick up vehicle registration and.
Oh, I thought you had said there was some technical thing you had to fix. Good.
No, that'll be tomorrow.
Oh, not good.
There's nothing more paranormal than the DMV.
Well, we all know from Reaper that the DMV is a portal to hell.
Oh, are you sure? Because I think, maybe because the opposite portal on the other side, I think, is to the Philadelphia Parking Authority.
There are multiple portals. You have to be aware of this.
Oh, yeah.
So we gave everybody a brief, to catch Brian up, we just gave everybody a brief rundown on what gamification is.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, we started with gamification because that's a big thing, a big part of what I do.
Okay.
As an intro. And then we started talking about reincarnation. So I had just done a recent reincarnation-themed event.
Wow.
Yep. Which also brings us to next week's event.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Oh, you're going to be there, Brian?
Yeah, I'm gonna show up. I'm the guy with the books.
You might need a ride, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll figure that out. But remember I talked to you about the friend of mine who writes the books about the vampire conspiracies?
Yes.
He'd be the one.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, congratulations.
Global Vampire Illuminati.
Wait, you are the Global Vampire Illuminati, or is that the name of the book?
I'm part of it.
Just a part, small part, or a big part?
Just a small cog in the giant machine.
In the undead wheel.
Well, I'm excited. Are you going to talk about the book when you're there, or do any kind of presentation about it, or?
Well, I'd be happy to mention it, and
Sure.
I can bring the books and have them for sale if you're okay with that.
Definitely. No, in fact, I'm a big DIY person. In other words, my idea of an event is to have all the participants involved 100%. So whatever
nice.
you bring to the table, so to speak, is
Sure.
good. The more you bring to
Cool.
the table, the better.
Well, just
Including
like
merch. Yeah.
I mean, my original thought is the only parts of demons that really get involved in conspiracies I don't get into because that's the whole Illuminati, demons rule the
Right,
world,
right.
and most of that's Manor crazy. But then I noticed you have
Okay.
the person coming who's talking about angels, and it's like, okay, now maybe I need to talk a little bit about demons just because balance.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, I have a whimsical approach to everything. I mean, I like to have play for both directions. So if people want to have fun and it's parody and comedy, that's great. If you want to take a more serious approach, that's great too. I kind of try to keep things relaxed and casual, and
Which is good.
And so there's room for everything. The only kind of unwritten rule, and basically unspoken, except I'm speaking it now, is I'm just basically trying to keep it away from political conspiracies.
Yeah.
I just find them kind of not that exciting, personally.
And let's face it, reality is much weirder than anything anybody's going to come up with anyway.
Yeah, quite true.
Lizard people.
Granted, a lot of the conspiracies I'm going to wind up talking about are somewhat political. Although they're all
Okay.
it's like, no, I can show you the government sources that say this actually happened.
Right. Well, that's your angle, right? True conspiracies.
Yeah, I'm doing for those of you interested. I am going to do a presentation on real confirmed things that we have sent in hearings on, or other clear documentation. This really happened, even though it sounds like the plot of a bad B movie.
Right. Wait, no, you're insinuating that all bad B movies can be bad. I don't.
Granted. But some of the conspiracy, I mean, it's like space lizards are secretly infiltrating the government at the highest of levels.
Yeah.
The royal family are all lizard people.
We all know that they come from the center of the earth, not
outer space. But they're
None of these
Earth is
things are
flat.
incomprehensible to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally would not be surprised. I don't think I get surprised too much. Cause if it turned out that, I don't know, name your political entity was a lizard person, I wouldn't be surprised. I just think, what else you got?
It's like, yeah, the world just keeps getting weirder. I mean, it occurred
But
to
if you go into it expecting that, it's no surprise.
Yeah.
Like if all of a sudden, I don't know, I was going to make this up off the top of my head, the Washington Monument came to life and turned into a robot and, rampaged around Washington, D.C.
dang it, he's talking about one of my things.
Because it was a pre-programmed ancient alien artifact, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, it's because Ben Franklin was actually a immortal mad scientist.
Yeah.
Well, immortal, so immortal as in can never be killed, or immortal as has a normal, less murdered or by accident, has an infinite lifespan.
Immortal isn't he hasn't died yet.
Hasn't
So
died
we
yet,
don't know
but
if
could,
he...
could theoretically be killed.
Yeah, all that you know if somebody's immortal is they haven't died yet. You don't know for sure. I mean, maybe
Right.
if you cut their head off, they'll die. But you have to cut
So
their
we
head
could
off.
all be immortal right now. All of
Yeah,
us
hypothetically.
they're alive, right? Just we haven't died yet.
We're all immortal until we die.
There's only one test of immortality, and nobody really wants to take it. We
What's
just
that?
have somebody keep trying to kill you, and if it fails, you're immortal.
Oh, right. Well, I'll be devil's advocate here, because let's suppose if you do get killed, it doesn't mean you really died, right? We don't know that.
And even if you do die, it doesn't mean that you weren't immortal. That might just have been your stake through the heart.
Right, exactly. So that's the thing. Immortality is a tricky one, because that's why I asked, is it a natural state, an infinite lifespan that could be terminated by an accident? Or is it immortal as it cannot be killed, which is very different? That's invulnerable.
Well, I like the one friend of the show and frequent guest, Patrick Thomas, has a distinction. You have immortals and eternals in his books. Immortals are people that just will live forever and are difficult. A vampire is an immortal. It can hypothetically live forever. It's difficult but not impossible to kill.
Yes.
Right.
The Jack of the Lantern, who has basically pissed off heaven and hell and can't go to either place, is an eternal because until Judgment Day, it's basically impossible to kill him. Maybe not even
Right.
then. It's that
And then
kind
you have
of
those
distinction.
lovely kind of quantum level entities that have never been born or die, that are just infinitely always existing.
And for that matter,
Yeah,
that describes
those
angels and
too.
demons.
Don't forget them.
And somebody did a creepypasta story about somebody who basically, because of parallel universes, quantum hand waving, couldn't, basically they're the one that in every universe where that version of them could die, this is the one that didn't die.
Oh, I see, right. Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of suck. It's like you got shot, but because you're in the wrong universe, you're the one who didn't die. You got stabbed. You fell off a building. You
Just always the one that didn't die.
It's like
This is the kind of brainstorming I love, because out of this conversation, we've already got like 20 different novels.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily.
Science fiction stories already.
Or games, for that matter.
Terrible,
Yes, of
terrible
course.
short
More
story to be
interactive.
made out of somebody who can't die. Not doesn't age, but just can't die.
There's several stories that have already been done.
Right. There's definitely things like that.
Yeah, that's
there's
a terrible
characters
fate.
like that in fiction.
Yeah.
It's not a benefit.
There's one of my favorite TV shows, Friday the 13th. This TV show, not the movies. I hate the movies, but the villain, the guy who sets up the storyline, made a deal with the devil that he has immortality. He does not have eternal youth, so he keeps getting older.
Right. So it gets more older and decrepit.
Yep. It's like when you think about that, that sucks really quickly.
Oh, there was that character, not to quote Doctor Who again, but there was a character in Doctor who couldn't be killed. And it was hell for him. I forget his name, Jack something.
Is that
All right, you guys
Harkness?
don't know. Never mind.
It's like, are you being smart?
Yeah.
Or you not?
I once I got like some kind of award or recognition or something for like the best alien species, because I wrote up and drew like an alien species, because I always design creatures. That's what I do when I can, which is all the time. And these guys, the way they work was they actually have a very, very, very short lifespan. Like it might be 10 minutes. It's like really short. And then, but when they die, they are reborn, or like kind of somehow regenerated. I forget. And so they're a new person every 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So they kind of don't really die. So it's a weird form of being alive and being immortal at the same time. They just kind of keep getting replaced by another version of themselves every 10 minutes.
Nice. An instant
Which, of course,
reincarnation.
It's a hard idea to imagine what that would be like, and how you would even interact with someone like that.
Yeah, that is. It's like time dilation. So that 5 minutes
I'd have to go
actually
look at
lasts
what I
for
wrote
a
up,
long
but
time period of time.
I would like to write like a story about that, about meeting one of these creatures, what that would be like.
Now, it's a little old, but one of our commenters was saying reincarnation is always an interesting idea. It brings to mind the concept of what is the soul? Does it exist? Are there many souls? Is there one soul experiencing all lives non-linearly.
Mm.
And the one thing
I like that, actually. I favor that idea.
That I was thinking
that it's
about,
one soul that exists in multiple times at the same time.
Well, again, creepypastville. There's an interesting enough creepypasta I listened to a while back, where every person in the universe is me. It's just different me in different lives, and every time I die, I have to pick somebody new in the history of the world to be. And once I've lived out every life of every person ever, I essentially become God.
So you're saying there would be a finite number of people then, theoretically, according to that theory?
Yeah, finite. Probably a very close to infinite it might as well be, but theoretically finite.
Unless it is just a population that theoretically is constantly reproducing, and it would be basically an infinite number of people. So you never really could do them all, but if somehow you could, you would become God.
Yeah.
The point I also pointed out is, in a sense, I would argue that reincarnation is real because, hypothetically, modern embalming and all that aside, I die, my body will decompose, the bits of me will go back into the earth, those bits eventually will reconstitute into other living things.
Right.
That's sort of reincarnation, and that's biology.
Well, and if you believe in a soul, then it's some sort of energy, which it would have to be, it has to go somewhere.
Yeah, but that also brings in afterlives as well as reincarnation.
Yeah, it could be either one.
Yeah, I find it interesting because, I have a feeling that, my innate philosophy on everything, like if you go bird all the way down to the core of what I believe, I believe in infinity, which I think is a hard concept for most people to grasp. Truly, like they know what it means cognitively, but they just can't visualize it. Because how do you visualize infinity? But I think I can. But regardless of whether I can or can't, I believe in that. So one of the reasons I like conspiracy theories and all these kinds of postulations like we're doing now is that really, if you step back and feel that infinity is real, then any of these things are possible, no matter how extremely unlikely they seem. That's why I'm never surprised by anything.
This is true, and it's the one point I've seen Jim Butcher brings up in Dresden Files. I've seen brought up a few other places. If you go with the many worlds interpretation in physics, it's like everything's happening somewhere. Jim puts it as like, by that interpretation, you can make a case that somewhere out there in some parallel universe, Spider-Man is real.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah. I don't think that's too far-fetched anyway.
No, not at all. It's like, given the really weird implications of...
He probably wouldn't talk like long soliloquies while he's in the middle of a fight like he does in the comics.
You never know. There's enough parallel... If there's an infinite number of parallel universes, and every single possible iteration is a thing, there is a universe... Not only is there a universe where he talks at long soliloquies, there's probably a universe where he talks with the actual thought bubbles.
Oh, jeez.
Are you telling me there's a universe where, for example, that Kiefer Sutherland doesn't mumble?
Yes.
One or two.
Stop. No way.
Yeah, I know. I mean, demons, devils, the forces of heaven and hell going to war, sure, but Kiefer Sutherland not mumbling? No, that can't be real.
Draw the line.
We all have to have a line somewhere. I've heard of worse lines, admittedly. And we are actually at the point of the half hour, which is when we usually like to give out the phone number, in case any of our listeners out there want to call in and ask a question.
Please call.
609-807-2492. 609-807-2492. You can call in, ask Brian, me, Alex, all three of us.
Yes.
It could be about conspiracies.
Special today, if you call in, you're going to get free enlightenment. Free for every caller.
Three operators are standing by.
Yes. Heck, I'll go one better. 2 for 1.
Are you saying all the operators are by? I'm confused.
If you call in now, we'll give you a 2 for 1 deal on your enlightenment.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 2 enlightenments, you get a third one free.
Yes. And if you don't like your enlightenment, you might get your money back.
Yeah.
No, you'll definitely get... We're not actually taking any money for it, so you'll definitely get your money back. Yep. That's better than 99% of cults will offer you.
I think Zuckerberg, whatever his name is, could find a way of monetizing enlightenment if you give him enough time.
I think he already has.
Mm.
YouTube certainly
Tell
is
you
on the
what.
way to monetize enlightenment.
I'll throw in an extra chant, Tibetan chant, for every. In fact, if you call in enough times to get save up, this is gamification. 5 points of enlightenment, you'll get a free Tibetan chant.
And keep in mind, folks, if you don't call in, we're just going to keep going for nearly another half an hour.
If you don't call, it'll be nothing but Tibetan chanting.
Oh boy.
We do have a mute button, Alex, just so you know. That's still working, Reggie.
Mongolian death metal.
Mongolian death metal is a heartbeat away at this point.
Yep, it's a thing now. There's a video that's blowing up all over the internet about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a.
Is there a cat involved or?
No, it's just
really.
It's
a
a bunch of
non-cat video blowing up.
It's a bunch of Mongolians doing death metal with throat singing and all that. It's amazing.
Why not?
Right.
There's a rabbi who does heavy metal. There's Christian priests that do heavy metal. Christopher Lee did
a rabbi
heavy
can
metal.
Understand, yeah. Old Testament's hardcore. Come on, let's be honest.
It really is. We talk
God in the Old
classic wrath of
Testament's
God here.
pretty heavy duty.
Worship him or else. Let's be honest.
Heavy metal God in the Old Testament. God, yeah. Passing out lightning bolts like there's no tomorrow.
So So do you have anything new planned beyond the conspiracy night?
Yes, of course. Gosh, where to begin? I am having. Shortly thereafter, I'm having a game night party kind of thing in Philadelphia. I have a game called the Hyper Battle Kaiju Fight Game, which is a fighting game that you play with these large cards, like postcard-sized cards. And they're each card is a different monster, and it's kind of a party game because everyone gets their own monster when they come into the party, and they get to fight with the other monsters. And it's like this long, kind of very immersive game, which is very quick. The game's very fast. So you fight someone, then you go fight some other people, blah blah blah, and it's a whole kind of universe. I have different tables set up with represent different areas of the universe. So you might go fight on this one planet, and there's a story weaved into it. So it's a mix of a game, like a fighting game, and a party. And it's all based around kaiju characters that I've created over the many years. I have a whole lot of them. And, so I'm promoting that game specifically, and I'm going to have an event in, a few weeks that's going to be this party. I did it once before, and it was pretty good, and I'm doing it with an even larger group this time.
Cool.
That's the next thing I'm doing.
I was going to say, it just reminds me of how we originally met with the Supergiant Monster Showdown.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I love giant monsters, so it's a frequent theme in my work.
I never noticed.
But I do love all kinds of topics. So, I did a game. It's got a parody game I did a little while back about the really bad urban bus service, and I wanted to do a game about how horrible the bus drivers were and stuff like that. Every topic is fair game.
Yeah, we talked at one point about doing a game together.
Yeah.
And that was one of the times I think I moved, and it didn't quite work so well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going to turn the tables and ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Of all the games out there, board games, card games, so I guess I'll keep it analog. What are some of your favorite current paranormal-themed
That's a
board
good
games
question.
or card games? Not RPGs, because you can say RPGs too, but I know about those.
Betrayal at House on the Hill is definitely one of my all-time favorite paranormal horror games.
What's it called? Sorry?
Betrayal at House on the Hill?
Oh, yeah, right, sure.
So wait a minute, you don't know that one?
No, I do know that one. I just didn't hear it.
Let me think. Other paranormal.
That's a good recommendation, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. And there's so many
And I like it
iterations
because
of it
it's
now.
fairly social, too. I like games.
Yeah.
And analog games, but these are very social.
I like a lot of games like that where it's like you have the party working together, or sometimes the party working together against one other person, leading to one of my other favorite games, which is Mansions of Madness.
Oh, okay. I've never tried that one.
So for you, since you haven't tried this one, for the listeners who might be wondering, Mansions of Madness is RPG board game, essentially, based on Call of Cthulhu. What I find interesting about it is it's a modular board like Betrayal, where it's tiles instead of a set board, so the board changes from playthrough to playthrough. What's a little different about there's the first edition of it, which was basically really a RPG in a box, where you had a DM who was controlling the monsters and setting up the scenario. What they did this time with the second edition of it, though, is instead of a human DM, you have an app, and the app tells you how to set up the board, and tells you when to move the monsters and where and things like that. What's intriguing to me about both iterations is it's not a set storyline. Parts of it randomized. So there is a replay value. There's 5 main storylines in either, so there's at least you can replay it 5 times. But even within those stories, there are random elements. So, like before the first time I played it, I watched somebody do a let's play of it online, and even doing the exact same scenario, what I got was very different than what they got. The map was different. The wind conditions were different. The monsters they faced were different. And if I do it again, it may be something else entirely again.
Wow, that sounds great.
Yeah, it's a really cool game.
Yeah, we don't work for this company, by the way.
And they're 2 different companies. One, Betrayal is Avalon Hill, and Mansions is Fantasy Flight.
Right.
Trying to think, what are other good board games? I was just Fury of Dracula is another good one, of course.
Oh yeah, I actually remember that.
It reminds me of the spy game that we used to play at your house back in the day. Just because you have a group of people that are trying to find somebody, and somebody's one of the other players who's moving secretly.
Oh, I think you're talking about the one in London,
Yes.
Scotland Yard, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Except this is across 19th century Europe, and instead of looking for an evil spy or criminal, you're looking for Dracula.
Right. Yeah.
It's a very similar game idea with it, just expanded outward. I've been doing beyond that. I mostly more doing the indie RPG type of thing. I'll say if you haven't played it, Alex, I would certainly recommend it. Our listeners, if you're interested in role-playing games and haven't played it, I would recommend. By far, my favorite horror RPG, probably at the moment, is a game called Dread.
Oh, really? Dread?
Do you know Dread?
No.
Okay, so horror RPG, except it was built on the premise of, in a good horror story or suspense story, and it works well for either, you want to build tension. Dice aren't really good at building tension. You can build tension with dice, but it's not the best way. What's a good way of building tension?
Jenga.
Yes. Instead of dice, you use a Jenga tower.
No, I guessed, by the way. But
Or provoking anxiety attacks.
I figured for sure the minute you said Jenga, you must have seen it before.
No, I haven't. I just guessed.
That's what it is. It's Jenga. When the tower falls over, whoever did the last play, when the tower falls, dies.
Oh.
Reset
severe.
Reset the tower with fewer pieces based on how many people are out of the game. Keep going.
Yeah.
And it just...
Wow.
It is very much... It is always dies. It depends on the storyline. Maybe you go permanently insane. Maybe you get turned into a vampire, whatever. But it definitely builds this nail-biting, anxious... Oh crap! That thing's about to fall. Am I going to be the one who's out, or is it going to be the guy after me? Which is beautiful for a horror game.
Yeah. What do you think of the all the? Well, I'm going to go way back here a little bit, but what do you think of all the mafia kind of iterations, the mafia spin-offs? So the social deduction games.
I like social deduction games a lot.
Well, that's one of the terms, one of those gamey terms they use now. But you remember Mafia, the game where everybody...
Or Werewolf, which is been in vogue lately.
Then there was Werewolf, and then...
Vampire now as well.
Yeah.
I hate to say this.
Some of those have latched onto a paranormal theme, and...
yeah. Because I know a lot of people who love those games.
It wasn't a game anyone published. It started as a free thing called Mafia in Europe. And then it got so popular, people started publishing it in different ways.
Yep. I haven't played it as Mafia, but I've played Werewolf, which is essentially the same game except werewolves instead of the Mafia.
Unresistance, I think, is another popular one.
Mm-hmm. I hate to say it, I hate Werewolf.
Which is funny because some of the games you like
are very similar.
Yeah, like Hail Hydra
I'm not
was
a big
pretty
fan
much.
either.
Yeah. We were playing
I
that.
think they're fun in the beginning, but I don't need to play them again.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel it'll replay.
Well, the problem I have, the basic idea, I like the basic idea of it. I like the hidden traitor element. Like Brian mentioned, our card game we just got for Misha's birthday last week was Hail Hydra, which is a similar idea, though it's a little more structured. Betrayal has that element too at times. And I like that element. It's just, whenever I've played Werewolf, and I'm sure Mafia is the same way, one, it's really tedious because you're doing the same thing over and over and over.
Right.
And two, it's people get so worked up and everybody's shouting, and it's just like it gives me a headache, to be completely honest.
Right. Oh, okay.
But it's not I don't think it's a bad idea. It's just the implementation.
It's more the players of the game.
Yeah.
Because I've been in a few that were pretty good where it didn't devolve into anything like that, and everybody stayed pretty, fun-loving and.
Yeah, but even it isn't even that they're not fun-loving when they're shouting. It's just they get everybody's excited. The voices get really loud, and I'm not saying it's like they're arguing with each other. Though, especially in the later end, you get a little bit as the paranoia really starts to creep in. But that's kind of the idea of the game. Although, and then there is very much just the tedium of, okay, everybody close their eyes again, open their eyes, who's dead, yell at each other about who did it, repeat.
Yeah.
I just thought of another event I'm doing. I mean, it's not paranormal related.
No, it doesn't have to be paranormal
I'll
related.
mention it real quick. I like doing business simulations or simulations in general. But I wanted to do a very kind of light simulation game that anyone could play, including kids. So I came up with a game called Waterfront Tycoon, which is like a tycoon-style game. If you know what that is. And it's simply building an empire, in this case, developing a waterfront of a city into something that's going to attract tourists. And it's very simple. It's very easy to pick up, and it doesn't take that long to play. And so I was going to publish that soon, so to debut it, I'm having a couple times I'm having events where it's going to be a waterfront tycoon-themed kind of event.
Yeah, I saw something about it on Facebook. It does sound interesting.
Yeah. I like the kind of empire building and tycoon style stuff. I just enjoy it. I find it actually relaxing. I think, and this is like that. It's definitely relaxing and whimsical, of course.
And relaxing and whimsical.
Like
I mean, we play games to have fun. I feel like people forget that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, of course, as we were saying much earlier, fun is like the critical ingredient. Yeah. Though I have to add, just to be semi-serious for a second, that
by all means.
It does promote memory, positive memory of those kinds of experiences, and you can, and I do this all the time because I do a lot of work with like corporate groups. You can utilize all these things to actually, have learning points. You can actually, like team building, for example, you can promote communication skills, leadership skills, all kinds of things, whether it's obvious or it's buried deep into the experience with the members. So there's a lot of actually serious real-world, if I can say it, impact that you can.
I'll give a very simple, obvious example for people if people are skeptical of this. I've all my life had a lot of problem with math. It's inborn issues type of situation. It's a learning disability, quite honestly. But one thing that helped me, made me a lot better, particularly at addition and subtraction, was playing role-playing games.
Yeah.
Because you roll a 10d6 for something, and that's not all that unusual in a number of in Star Wars or Dungeons and Dragons. You might be rolling that many dice.
You have to for sure.
Shadowrun, but particularly because Shadowrun, you're not adding them together; you're just looking for target numbers.
Yeah.
But in a game where you have to roll a whole bunch of dice and add them to each other, even if you suck at math, you start learning little tricks to make it easier to add them together. And that does relate to a real world.
About the math thing. there's a kind of, I won't say it's consensus, but there's a philosophy out there in the game design community, which I'm sort of connected to, I guess.
Just a bit.
There's a feeling out there among certain game designers that math is scary to people. In other words, you don't want to have too much math in a game because a lot of people just don't like it or can't do it. It intimidates them. They even get to the point where they say they don't want to have any big numbers. In other words, keep your games so the values are small. If someone has to add 47 and 39, you're not doing a good game design. I don't believe in any of that kind of theory. I think it depends on what you're doing and what your goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Math is fine. In fact, like you said, math can be something you want to promote specifically in a game. Yeah. But it's interesting. Yeah, math is I consider like a hump you got to get over. So you design a game that's got a lot of math in it that might be tricky for some people, but that's okay, because maybe if they challenge themselves and rise to the occasion, they will get better at math. If they're scary of adding, what did I say, 42 and 39, yeah. Then maybe that needs to be addressed. That's all I'm saying.
I think you're right, and I think there are ways to do it in game design that have advantages. I mean, the obvious one to me is if you really want to make your players more comfortable doing math, do it in dice. Do it in anything like that where you can pair things up easily, because what becomes easy for me is it's like, okay, if I get add a whole bunch of D6s to get sixes together, add the ones up that equal 10, pair them up. And then now it's 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 5, which is much easier than 6 plus 4 plus 8 plus 2 plus, et cetera. And
it's interesting you mentioned about comfort, because there's that kind of age-old struggle, if you will, that line you want to walk between comfort and challenge, because you don't want too comfort, because then you've got something that's very passive. I don't want to diss any games out there, but there's certain games out there where you can play it, and I put that in air quotes, but it's really zone out and not really paying any attention. You're there, you're doing it, but you're not really paying a whole lot of attention. Comfort. You can sit there, and if you don't even like games or don't even like people, you can probably participate. But that's the comfort. And then there's a challenge where maybe you don't really like doing it normally, but you'll try it this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the line that the game designers, in my opinion, should deal with and should not be afraid of trying challenge. In other words, let's face it, if you have no challenge and it's all comfort, I would call this dumbing down. You're dumbing down the experience, so the person really doesn't have to devote much of themselves to it. But if it's a challenge involved, something you're not normally comfortable with, like say you don't like to dance, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's not that uncommon, and you have a game that at some point someone has to get up and dance. Now, there's certainly people that don't want to do that; they don't like it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't necessarily trim that out of a game if I thought the challenge of them rising to do it and doing it, and it might be very funny or what, is worth it. So then that's the way I look at things. Have a nice amount of challenge.
I think it's good because you can help somebody get out of a shell, out of a comfort zone. And they might find something they enjoy.
Work.
I mean, as I've said many times on the show, when I was a kid, I was terrified of public speaking.
Yeah.
Radio, I stumbled into radio by accident.
Did everybody tell you how to face the radio, that old line?
Yeah, I've heard that before. But just,
That's interesting.
And now I love doing public speaking. I've been doing radio forever now. I mean, you're one of the few people that knew me, that I still know, that knew me back in the day when I first started doing radio.
Oh, yeah. Can you put your finger at a moment or a phase in your life where this changed, where you did turn that corner?
I got more interested in the public speaking thing in performing. Actually, yeah. It's in high school when I started getting involved in drama, and I really wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. But if you want to do drama, you have to be in front of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
And I think role playing helped too, just in because I started role playing long before I got over my fear of public speaking. But it got me out of that shell of now I'm interacting with other people, and it's one of the great benefits of a role playing game, and one of the detriments of CRPGs and MMORPGs. Is if you want to play traditional Dungeons and Dragons, in any edition, even the most, next, the most recent, you have to get a group of people together around a physical table and talk to somebody. and that's great.
Social
I think
skills necessary.
I think not just that, but I think it's very healthy for people who have social anxiety because you have this thing you want to do, but you have to go get around other people to do it. And it's one of the recommendations I give to people. I would give to somebody who's like, well, I need to do. I want to do more public speaking, but I'm afraid of public speaking. What do I do?
Right.
Find something you enjoy. For me, aside from acting, stage magic. I love doing magic. But again, if you're going to get into magic as a hobby, you inevitably want to do it in front of people. And if you enjoy the hobby enough, you'll want to get in front of people. Because why else are you doing all this practice? Why else are you doing this?
Right.
And making that leap from one to the next, I think, becomes a little easier because you have a passion, or you have a reason to do it. And then radio was pure dumb luck in the... I never thought... I mean, it wasn't that I was afraid of the idea. I just never gave it any thought until one day my mentor and the original host, Lou Gentili, just went to me one night, hey, you want to go on the radio and see what happens?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
As they say, and I'm often fond of repeating, you don't have to be good at something. You don't need any experience in it. You just have to be willing to try it.
Yeah.
Kind of the same way I got into this.
Yeah. I needed a co-host.
Yeah.
What did you say, Brian?
I said it's the same way I got into this. His original co-host dropped out at the last minute, so I said, all right, I'll come on.
Yeah.
And I liked Brian. I thought he had a good style. I was like, okay, let's see what happens. It worked, so here he is.
All right, I'm going to play a game right now. Okay, I'm going to ask both of you guys.
Okay.
If you could think of 3 words, just one word that describe your style on the radio, what would it be?
Random.
Not what you've been told, but what you think.
Random, definitely.
Okay. Right,
Thoughtful.
Hopefully thoughtful, yeah.
Thoughtful.
Random, thoughtful.
Funny.
Wait, whose answers are these, actually?
Random was mine. Thoughtful and funny were Brian's.
Because they're talking together. They're getting confused.
Hopefully a bit controversial.
You might be the same person.
Oh, sorry.
I do shoot for controversy from time to time.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Controversy, yeah.
Weird.
Okay.
Random, controversial, and weird. That would be at least how I see what I do.
Excellent.
And thoughtful, funny, and what's your third one, Brian?
Relatable.
Uh-oh. Relatable by whom? That's a big question.
By
killers or nice people or what?
Yes.
Hopefully both.
All of the above.
All of these.
We tried to reach...
Yeah, I'm pretty relatable.
We tried to reach that elusive serial killer demographic. I mean, they need something to do between murders.
It's the next big thing. It's going to explode.
I mean, the FBI definition of a serial killer is somebody who commits 3 or more murders with a month or more cooling off period in between. You need something to do during that month in between. Why not listen to us?
Right,
Exactly.
right. That's good. And if you have them call in enough, you can probably help the FBI out and figure out.
Yeah, if they would call in, that'd be
Call
nice.
in, leave cryptic clues.
Yeah.
In fact, if you do this right, maybe you're already
challenge the
doing
Batman.
this. I don't know.
to their,
But if you do this right, maybe as a sponsor, you can get the FBI as one of your sponsors.
Yeah,
That's an idea. We do need sponsors.
yeah, we do.
They have T-shirts, right?
And I unfortunately, I do hate to say it, but it's now 3 minutes to 7:30, and there will be, I believe there's going to be a show after us.
I think so.
We are going to need to wrap this up. So, Alex, why don't you plug the Conspiracy Night again, date and whatnot?
Conspiracy Night will be on Friday the 19th, if I remember correctly. It's 7 o'clock in Philadelphia, a place called Higher Grounds Cafe.
I'll be there. Brian will be there.
Coffee,
Yep.
blah, blah. It's on 3rd Street. It's a very cute, nice place, very cozy. They have really good food and really good coffee and other beverages.
Oh.
The staff's really nice, and it's a lovely place. The parking is not too horrible, and if you're taking public, it's very simple.
Yeah, well, we'll be driving, so it's reassuring to know parking isn't too bad.
Yeah.
It's not too horrible.
Yeah. And I will say
it might require a little bit of work, but nothing hard. It's not expensive, that's for sure.
that's good.
It might be free. It's either free or cheap.
Folks, my topic for the night is going to be government, UFOs, and other real conspiracies. That's the actual name of it. So come find out about the government's UFO program.
Come meet us in person.
And we'll have plenty of merchandise. I always encourage everyone to support all of the presenters and as well as my own stuff. I'll have plenty of games for sale to support local game designers because that doesn't happen really too much. But support everyone who's got merch to sell. I think it's very important, and of course support the venue because it's a great place that opens themselves up to us, and they deserve it, the recognition.
But that's going to do it for tonight. We need to plug our other sponsor, and then we need to get out of here. So, folks, internet security is a big issue these days. Everybody's doing their shopping online, and their dating online, and everything else online. But the reality is there are hackers, there are identity thieves out there looking for your private information. A really good way to protect yourselves is what's called a virtual private network, a VPN. One of the best of these would be Nord. NordVPN uses military-grade encryption, so the bad guys aren't getting in. The prices are very affordable. You can go monthly, you can go yearly. I think it goes as low as $20 a month.
Less than that.
Yeah.
If you go monthly, it's something like under $5.
And you can protect up to 6 devices with it.
Yeah.
You get a 30-day money-back guarantee. One of the other nice advantages I recommend, because I do know we have listeners globally, not just in the United States. If you're living in one of those countries, China, where they restrict what you can see on the internet, you can use a VPN to log in from a different country and get around those firewalls. You can even do that. And we don't condone looking at things you shouldn't at work or at school. But if you're at work, school and you need to look something up on a website your school's internet access blocks for a report, because that happens. I've had it happen to me. You can use a VPN like Nord to get around it. It's a great source. You can go to the link in the description below. You'll help out the show. You'll get a great service. Again, 30-day money-back guarantee. What are you waiting for? That's going to do it for tonight. We will be back next week. We on a topic to be determined, or possibly a guest if we drag somebody out of the woodwork.
Yeah, and we'll be in our new location.
Yes, very exciting. We're going to be in a brand new studio.
Yes.
Should be
Look
awesome.
forward to that.
So that's going to do it for tonight, folks. This is Kevin Mears saying good night and God bless.
Brian McKinley saying keep your fangs sharp.
Any words for wisdom, Alex, to say good night on?
Well, just keep remembering, everybody, to stay positive, think of the infinity of the universe, and you'll be happy no matter what.
Good night, everybody.
Nice.
Night.